When I was a kid, I had an incredibly difficult time believing that clouds weren't solid cotton candy islands in the sky and that I couldn't just jump out of the plane and land on one. Even at 25, they still symbolize the realm of the gods. It feels like an excitingly forbidden landscape when I'm on a hike or a drive that takes me into the clouds. Like I'm not supposed to be there, like I'm not supposed to be able to see what I'm seeing. I don't know about you, but I want to be the cool guy who knows the names of clouds. The words for them are sexy Latin terms like cirrocumulus and cumulonimbus. And if you can identify clouds, you might even be able to predict the weather that they'll bring. But did you know that clouds aren't made of gas? It's a common misconception, but clouds are actually made of tiny liquid water droplets. If you're wondering why they don't just fall right out of the sky, we'll get into exactly why later in the video. It's easier than you'd think to identify like 90% of the clouds you see. All you need to do is figure out approximately how high in the sky they are and then which of the two basic types they are. Basic cloud type number 1, cumulus clouds. Cumulus is Latin for pile or heap. It's the root of words that you already know for piles of things, like accumulation, cumulative. Cumulus clouds look like cute little piles of fluff. Basic cloud type number 2, stratus clouds. Stratus is a Latin verb for spreading and flattening out, and it's the root for the word stratify. These are sheets of clouds. If it's a cloudy day and you can't see the sky, that's definitely stratus clouds, but they can occur in sheet-like fragments as well. Now, clouds form whatever shapes they want, and as far as we know, they are currently unaware that we humans would like them to fit into distinct categories. And there are plenty of sheet-like fluffy clouds and fluffy sheet-like clouds. No problem, we just say it kind of looks like both, and we call them stratocumulus clouds. Once you know the basic type of cloud, now you need to figure out how high in the sky they are. You definitely don't need to know exactly how far they are, but you do need to know, are they kind of close, pretty far, or really, really far away? The closest ones are called low clouds. They're about as high as mountain peaks. If you live somewhere mountainous like I do, you can probably drive up into them, and sometimes you can even get above them, which is insanely cool. If numbers work for you, low clouds go up to about 6,500 feet before we say they're in the next category. Mid-level clouds. Mid-level clouds are pretty far away. You can tell that they're mid-level clouds
because of the way it is.
They're smaller in your field of view, and you'll be able to see more of them at once. If they're stratus clouds covering the whole sky, you can tell that they're mid-level clouds because the sun will show through them a lot easier if they're higher up. That's a trend that will continue as they get higher and higher. When they're at this height, we use the same base names for them, but we put the Latin word alto in front of them, so altostratus, altocumulus. The farthest clouds are called high clouds. They're so high up, they're actually not made of liquid water anymore. They're made of ice crystals. Meteorologists say they're glaciated clouds, which is a concept that I love. You can tell they're high clouds because they're significantly farther away than middle clouds. Here are some cumulus, here are some altocumulus, and then here are some cirrocumulus clouds. The word we add on for these clouds is cirro, which is Latin for wisp of curly hair. In fact, there's actually a category of cloud that only exists at this height called cirrus clouds, which look like wisps of hair. What a coincidence. When stratus clouds are this high, they're basically invisible, but they do create a halo around the sun or moon. Pro tip, vampires like to come out when cirrostratus clouds are overhead. Finally, you want to ask, are they rain clouds or not? If they're dark and scary, or if they're actively creating rain, they might be rain clouds. In this case, proudly proclaim to your friends that all you need to do is add the Latin root nimbus onto whatever cloud type they are while they run for cover. We're talking nimbostratus and
cumulonimbus.
The heaviest rains come from tall cumulonimbus clouds. The taller they are, the more rain they can make. Now, clouds that aren't dark and scary can sometimes make rain too, and you don't need to call them nimbus clouds if it's just a little bit of rain and kind of intermittent. So, if they're all made of liquid water droplets, why aren't they raining all the time? Think back to the last time you saw dust hanging in the air. According to physics professor Stephen Levy, an average cloud is made out of 1 million liquid droplets, just the width of a human hair apiece. Even with no other factors, these aren't really heavy enough to fall that quickly. So when you factor in the fact that clouds are made by air that's rising, the upward motion is more than enough to keep them afloat. Some brief meteorology. Clouds form when the water vapor in the air gets cold enough that it changes phase back into water. Warm air rises, but as it rises, it cools off. And at a certain height, it gets cool enough that the water condenses like condensation on a cold can of soda. Except instead of condensing onto atmospheric cans of soda, they condense onto tiny dust particles up there. So if they sink, they'll warm up again, and the water will turn back into vapor instead of raining. Sometimes you can see this happening, and it looks like this. This is called virga, or a dry storm. So if you're watching this video in the day, and I'm guessing a lot of you aren't, then take a look outside. Now you know the questions to ask. Are they the fluffy ones or the sheet-like ones? And then how high up are they? Now, these clouds we've talked about are not the only clouds you'll see. There are a bunch of specialty clouds that form in special ways. Undulatus clouds form as wind blows across the clouds as they're forming. The lines they form are perpendicular to the direction of the wind. Lenticular clouds form as air rises over mountaintops. Momentous clouds form from turbulence under large cumulonimbus clouds. Chemtrails are clouds created by government planes to distribute noxious chemicals that keep the citizenry docile. Actually, these are called contrails, and they form because the exhaust of some planes contains a bunch of moisture, which freezes when it hits the super low temperatures of the upper atmosphere. Please don't hurt my family, I'll do anything.